Hey, welcome back. In this video, we're going to get this project set up, and that's going to involve creating our main source file. In fact, we're going to call this main.cpp, and this entails all skills that you've gained in the previous sections. We're going to create a Raylib window for our game. And now that we have a nice 2D map that we've created and tiled, we're going to draw that map to the screen. Now, you already have these skills, so this is going to be a challenge for you. Create a new source file and call it main.cpp. You're going to make a Raylib window. Go ahead and initialize it with the dimensions 384 by 384. Add everything you need to the main.cpp source file and load the texture of the 2D map that you created and tiled. It should be in your nature tileset folder. Draw the map using Draw Texture X, which allows you to scale the texture. Now, since this is a smaller image, we're going to scale it up by a factor of 4. So pass 4 in for the scale of this function. And go ahead and look at your past projects. These challenges are not a closed book test. You can always look at resources, look at your past projects, even search for answers on the internet, because that's what developers do in the real world. So I don't expect you to remember these things off the top of your head. Pause the video and create your source file now. Okay, so I've got my Visual Studio project set up. Now you should have a folder with the .vs code and the characters and nature tile set along with the other files that came with this, and you should have Visual Studio open to this. Now just to remind you, you can go to File and Open Folder, and you can choose the folder that you wish to work in for your workspace. Now let's make our source file. So let's go to File, New File, and right off the bat, let's save it with Save As, and we'll call it main.cpp. Go ahead and click Save. Now let's write some C++. The first thing we'll do is include the Raylib library. So include raylib.h. Next, we need our main function. So int main, and we need to call init window. Now, init window takes a window width and a window height. So let's make a const int called window width and initialize this to 384. And we'll make a const int window height. And we'll initialize this to 384 as well. Now we've also made an array in the past called window dimensions. If you did it that way, that is totally fine. Let's go ahead and call init window. Now for the width, we're going to pass in window width. And for the height, we'll pass in window height. Next, we need a title. Now, go ahead and customize this by using your own name. I'm going to call this Stevens Top Down, since this is a top-down game, and there's my semicolon. Next, we need to set the target FPS, so let's set target FPS, and just like in our previous programs, we'll use 60. Next is our while loop. So while, and we're going to use not window should close. Now, of course, we need our begin drawing and our clear background, and we're going to use white. And finally, we'll have end drawing, and just outside the while loop, we're going to call close window. And now we have a 384 by 384 window. Now finally, we need to draw the map. So just after init window, we're going to create a texture 2D. And we'll go ahead and call this map. And we can initialize this using load texture. And we placed our map image in our nature underscore tileset folder. Here's my nature tileset folder, and I have open world map 24 by 24.png. That's what I'm going to use. So open world map 24x24.png. Now all that's left to do is draw the texture, and we're going to do that in the while loop just after clear background. So let's use draw texture x. Now for the texture, we're going to use map. For the position, we need a vector 2. So let's create a vector 2 just above draw texture x. And let's call this map pause. and we can initialize it to 0, 0.0, comma 0, 0.0. And we'll go ahead and pass in map pos. Next is rotation, and we don't want it rotated, so we'll use 0. And for scale, we'll use 4.0. And finally, for the tint, we'll use white. And that's it. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to Run and start debugging. And here's our window, and we see the top left corner of our map. So this is a great start. So in summary, we've created our main.cpp source file, and we drew our map to the screen by creating a Raylib window and initializing the window, creating our while loop, and all the necessary things to get a basic program started. We'll continue with this in the next video by adding input capabilities so we can move around in our map. See you in the next video.